All right, well, thank you for joining us today. We have one of my favorite people in the Mid-South. We have Sridhar Sankara with the CEO of eBiz Solutions and co-founder and CEO of ThinkProxy, who will cover more ways you can leverage technology to create new opportunities for your company during this period of disruption. So last week we spoke with Sridhar on the first 6 tips to create success during and after disruption. Today he's going to first cover shortly the first 6 tips, and then he'll dive into the next 6 tips. So Sridhar, before we kick it off, will you please let the viewers know more about eBiz Solutions and ThinkProxy?
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Sridhar Sankara. I'm CEO of eBiz Solutions and ThinkProxy. eBiz Solutions is a technology company that helps companies navigate through digital transformation, helping them understand what technology can do in terms of their business models, and also how it can help them in their operation model, which would help cut costs and also improve efficiencies within companies. So we custom build or we implement different technologies that are already out there and integrate different technologies from mobile experience to automation, Office 365, Salesforce, and few of those. And ThinkProxy is a location-based, sensor-based company that helps like attractions, events, and all, where people can, without touchless, people can use their own phone and experience museums, experience events without touching anything within the museums, and get the exposure of digital and physical world, a combination of both of them. So you can check out that at thinkproxy.com. So today, I want to just go over the rest of the 6 tips that we created for our own company as we are going through the disruption. And also it's been going through us for a couple of years, but we added some more tips during this pandemic. So these are all the tips. We bring these tips because I believe that all of this needs to work simultaneously for us to go through. And that's what we've been using it through this disruption. So I'll just start on going through this. So one of the things we all know is we are all used to disruption. Disruption is not something new for us, right? So, but the scale, the speed of disruption, because of the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, all of those, the speed has been very fast. And then there's the sudden disruptions like the pandemics right now we have. But as human beings, we are used to this disruption. So now we need to figure out how are we prepared for the speed of disruptions, right? So, but is disruption a bad thing? It probably is not a bad thing, right? So it actually helps us to be creative. It helps us to be innovative and rethink our business models, right? So we can think about reinventing into new markets, leveraging the technologies like we're doing today, leveraging Zoom and other technologies, find new revenue models, cut the barriers to the customer, and then create new ecosystems that we are all creating, and then coming up with completely new business models, which a lot of companies have already started doing it. So what is the leadership? So what is going on through the leadership today, right? So most leaders want control, right? So they want control. In order for them to feel control, they want to be face-to-face, or they want to do virtual, right? So they're not really used to virtual. And leaders are the ones that they're the least in adopting a technology. So we have all these tools and all they have, but it's not for them. So they want like an email to be sent or somebody to call, but they don't use the tools. And also everybody has mentors, and the mentors we always try to choose is the people that have been working through this for longer periods of time, but they're also not used to these new tools and access to the new tools. So you're not even getting that mentoring about how technology is going to be helpful from even your mentors. So that's one of the things we need to keep in mind as we go through. So what would be the new normal, right? So we have now new normals, at least for time being, we don't know, it's going to be 6 months or 12 months. So we have different types. So the 6 feet distance, remote working, right? So shopping in a different way. You're going to wear masks in airplanes, right? So there's so many things we got to do now. How do we do our business during this kind of new normal that we're going to do? Right. So last week, in the last thing, I did the 12 tips. So we created the 6 tips I finished, which I can just go through right now quickly. It is like your business model need to be digital first. So if you are not doing digital as your digital first strategy, you are you are in a losing business. Your business is going to be shut down or being bought out by somebody, because digital is the only way we can scale and we can be efficient, and we can speed of change we can only use through digital. Redefining the customers, because our customers are different today, so they want the different way of delivery, how they want to be reached, how do we want to sell them, right? And our value proposition is changing now. And then creating new digital operating models. Instead of regular traditional operating models, we have to create new digital operating models. And leading instead of trying to manage during this time, because the companies and all are looking at us to lead, not to manage the existing things. You need to manage a little bit, but you need to start leading, which is you're thinking ahead of the game. Then right now you're thinking like 3 4 steps beyond what is happening right now. And creating a culture of growth mindset, which is very very important. And that has changed. We have started that a couple of years ago, and that's really helped us to take advantage of things like we are having today. So we have less disruption from an employee standpoint of us, because we are learning through the growth mindset. What's happening right now, we are actually learning through this phase and coming up with new ideas and everything. So the next 6 I want to talk about today are, the first one is, again, like the digital should take the first step in anything we're going to do from today. And then the tip number 7 is making employee engagement a top priority. Right now, people are working from home. People are not used to the way they're working, so everything changes. So we need to think about, okay, how do we engage our employees? What are the new strategies to engage our employees? You can see here, we the first thing we want to make sure is they're safe and they're healthy, right? So how do you do it? So we do a feedback forms that we send weekly, and you can see one of those. You can see how many people are fine, what's going on. So we ask different questions. Based on the results, we communicate with them and try to work with them if anything is going wrong. And using all these digital platforms, we use Office 365. So we could use announcements, leadership messages. So there, we need to have that open communication, showing people what's going on with our clients, what's going on with the company. So we have to keep that open communication. So we use chat, that's part of the Office 365. We have different tools within Office 365. We keep communicating with all the employees, and we need to figure out and say which are the tools and what is the purpose of each tool, so we are not getting confused what tools we need to use. And this is a time we have to be a fan of technology. We continuously use technology, because that's the only way we can communicate right now. And you don't want to overuse them, but you want to use it in the right way and the right tools for the right communications. And we need to have, like, the managers and the leaders need to keep some time listening to people, your employees, and seeing what's going on and asking them the right questions, and creating the polls and surveys very often, like once or twice a week, to see, and you want to know different things, what's going on with them, how are they doing in terms of your projects, the works, right? And how is the team doing together? So we need to understand. So your polls and your surveys need to address those things that they're going through with them right now. And also another good thing right now, if you don't have already, is to establish a mentoring program, a corporate mentoring program, which we have like from past 1 year, which is very, very good. And it really helps people um, uh, to understand what's going on. And also this is a good time for us to socially connect and help each other to grow. So you can see like we do like everything here. We even do events online. So we were last week, we had a fun event in our office. More than 60 people joined, and we had like teams, and we created Pictionary. We played. So there's a lot of fun stuff also we are doing, so that at least they get out of that whole zone of being lonely and at least participate. And the tip 7 right now, so this is very important right now for every company to understand how are your employees aligned with your company, right? You might be thinking these are the employees that have been great, but you would know now like which employees stand out and how many people are doing their job, right? So one of our main things I always tell everybody is do your job, right? If you don't know what your job is, let us know, so we'll let you know what your job is, right? And this is the time you want to recognize this mavericks, the employees that go beyond their job description and trying to help during the situations, coming up with new ideas, and observe the mindset of all the employees, right? This is a good time to assess what employees can do and what they cannot do, and what your expectations were, and are they doing their expectation. So this might be a time you need to think about, okay, your whole employees, and see which employees are shining, which employees are dragging you down. So this would be a good time to assess them, right? So if you find somebody that's not doing what they're supposed to do, you need to sit with them and come up with a plan of action, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month. Hey, this is what our expectation. Here is the roadmap how I want you to see, and we're going to check with your metrics every week, or it could be every other week. So you need to establish something with them to see if they fall back on track with what they're supposed to do. So, and also help employees understand every communication they have to have with you or your managers or anybody, it's going to be private. It's not going to be for the whole company, so that they're open and they're going to talk. And this is a time where you need to have an innovation teams, right? So every company needs to have a team, the continuous experimentation, and also you want to think about all these 3C traps, like complacency trap, where you want to repeat what you have done in past, thinking that's going to get you future success. That's not going to happen now. So we got to keep changing. And cannibalization trap, which is like your new business is threatening your current business, right? So if you're making money, if you're making progress in a current service or current product you want to push, and you don't want to bring in a new product or service because it is going to kill this other service or a product you have. For example, when Kodak was the first one to came up with the digital camera concept, and they actually built it, but they didn't want to get it to the market because it's going to kill their film business. So, but somebody else came up and then they went through. So you need to think about it. Is anything like that is happening within the company? So that's one of the things. And then competency trap, right? So people that are very competent and skillful in one area, they don't want to quickly change for the new things that are coming out. So you got to think about it and say, you don't want to fall in that trap. So you always want to have new skills and new services and new products constantly coming through. And then you have the tip 8 is what we are working on is every company right now have to go through this. Right? So a lot of companies don't do this quite often, like learning, experimenting continuously. That should be a new normal. Every company should be doing some kind of experiment, some kind of learning that needs to be happening, right? So you always want to think about not your service or your product, but you need to think about, are you upgrading your customer, right? So when Instagram upgraded the customer to be a better photographers, right? So that's what you want to think. You want to think how are you upgrading with your product or service your customers. If you see some of the things that are going on right now, right? So there are companies that are completely experimenting new things. So they used to sell, but now they're doing like do-it-yourself candle marketing, making kits. So they used to send candles, but now since people cannot come, they're creating this new model to experiment and see if people are buying that. And people are doing classes online, cooking shows through Zoom, right? So even Carvana, which has come up with COVID, they're saying a touchless car buying experience. And then you have banks that are saying like new video banking system. And there's one vendor that came up with serving tea mobile. So they're putting in the van, they're putting the tea and serving people, going to people's homes, and they can come and get served. So people are coming with different kind of models, different experimentation. So even within eBay, just like Zoom, we are coming up with our own new video platform. So because of different kind of privacy issues with all this, so we are building a model where your video platform will be on your own network. So you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about privacy. You don't need to worry about your where is your data going, where is your recordings. It would be stored on your own server. So we are experimenting with those. Also, we are experimenting another new app that employees and employers can download and see every day. They can check to make sure that they're following the rules of the opening the offices and a certain rules, and that app will help them go abide by the rules. And then quickly let HR or the company knows who is following, who is not following, and who needs the immediate help in that. And experimenting and learning is not new, and it is very, very much used in all companies. Like for example, in any given time, Facebook has about more than 1,000 Facebooks running, experiments running. Netflix is more than 1,000. Amazon spends like more than $1 billion just on experiments, and they know that one experiment works, it will bring more money than that. So this is not new to most of the companies. It is new to small and medium-sized companies, but every company has to start experimenting. How do you do it? Like you want to do small bets, don't do a huge big experiment, do a small bet, small change, and see how it works, right? And also think how is the customer inertia and anxiety going to be part of it. Weak signals is very, very important. What is weak signal? What it means is we want to see the what is the changes in culture, what is the changes happening in the market, what is the technology changes that are coming, what is the new consumer behavior changes or demographics. And based on it, you'll run experiment. Today, the one of the things you can see is the consumer behavior. They don't want to touch. So you need to think, okay, how do I do an experiment that makes it contactless, touchless service, right? And you can also think about the substitute products, right? So dynamic pricing, new pricing models, how people are changing because of how people are going through this pandemic right now. So you can come up with dynamic pricing. And creative destruction is another thing where one of your own product or service might die because you are starting another product or service. So that is a creative destruction that always happens. So you need to be care, you need to think about it and see how do you manage those. The tip 10 is competition, right? So when people think about competition, they think about their own industry competition. But right now, that's not where the competition comes. Competition can be your own industry, but also competition is your own customer inertia or anxiety to use your product or being their own habits, changing their habit. That is also your competition. So you need to figure out how do you make your product very user friendly, user experience, so it doesn't have that inertia or anxiety for a customer. Again, weak signals is another one. So, and another thing you want to think about the customer, right? The customer has to go through a lot of phases before using yours. And in create, one of the things in creative destruction is when iPod came and then iPhone came, it killed iPod, and it's the same company, but still that's where the creative destruction really comes in place with. So you need to think about competition as a different things, not just your own industry, but different areas. So for example, Netflix came and it really killed the theater business. So now the theater business have to rethink their business model. So you can think that you know think about more theater as an experience. So they're bringing food in the theater. They're having some lounges and food courts within the movie theaters, and then reclining chairs. So they're making it a little bit more experience than just sitting at home and watching Netflix. And tip 11 is you need to embrace negative feedback. So I know like we all don't like negative feedback, but that's very, very important. When it's done right, it really helps us to grow our business, our service, our employees also working. And if you see the two world's richest man, both of them, they depend on negative feedback. So they want to say, okay, the negative feedback is what allows them to grow, right? So we know that if they're doing it, that means something is right in negative feedback, because that tells us the areas that we need to improve, the areas we need to monitor, and how is our product or service performing against the customer needs. We might be thinking the customer is using for something, but they might be using for a different reason, and it might not be helping them solving their problem. So if we get any negative feedback or critics, we need to use that as a learning so that we can improve our product or a service. And one of the things that we always try to do, we want to follow three things, right? You don't want to react, so don't rush and react to any negative feedback. Just gather information about that feedback. Look at your metrics, look at your product analytics, and see what is happening within the whole product life chain. Either it could be customer service, or it could be just the product itself, or it could be the whole logistics that is happening. What is it that's really not working for them? What is it that they're trying to do that's not helping them what they're trying to achieve? And also be forerunner, just give an update. If you have heard about it, give an update to the critic saying that this is what you are doing, this is how you're going to do. So that will bring your company into loyalty. You have reliability, people will feel credibility to your company. And most important thing is that customer trust is going to come. So you need to think about those. So we started calling our clients now and asking them different questions, and we have received some negative feedback too. So already we have started informing them how we are changing based on their feedback. What are the things we are changing? And that is very refreshing for them. They felt like they've been heard, and we are actually making changes because of what we heard from them. Not trying to say that we are defending ourselves, but we said, hey, we have learned. It is how we're going to change for you. I think the tip 12, I think I went too fast. The tip 12 is very important, and it brings us, the most important thing is why we have actually started, right? Why the why really matters for us. What is the purpose of our business? Are we doing anything that's related to our purpose? So you need to go back and look at your vision and mission of your company and see anything that you're doing, is it aligning with your vision? If you look at SpaceX, for example, so their whole ultimate goal is they're trying to enable people live in other planets. Everything that they do and everybody that's working, they're all going to that. That is their purpose, is they want to have people in another planet. And look at Samsung, right? So they want to inspire the world with innovative technologies, products, and design, but they want to enrich people's lives and contribute to social prosperity by creating a new future. So if you look at any Samsung products, you can see that it aligns with their vision. So anything you do, it has to align. Uber is a transportation as reliable as running water for everywhere, for everyone. So they can go with a bike, a car, helicopters, airplanes. They're using, but everything is a transportation, right? So they're trying to bring that to everybody, everywhere in the world. So that is their purpose. So for us, for eBiz, our thing is we want to become a trusted guide for a company. So the whole idea is we want to become the guide for companies to reach that in the journey of digital excellence, right? So which will let them be a leaders in their communities and industries. If you haven't read, you need to really read the book, Start with a Why with Simon Sinek. It's a great book that will help you understand how to set your why in the company. So with that, I mean, like, we're pretty much done. So I just want to go back and just give you all the 12. So these are all the 12 tips. So we go to your business model needs to be digital. So your digital strategy first, redefining customers, redefining the value proposition, creating new digital models, leading instead of managing, culture matters. How do you create a growth mindset culture? Make employee engagement as your top priority. Employee alignment matters. You need to make sure you have the right employees at the right places. And learning and experimenting should be a new normal. Competition, you need to think about competition. Can come from various forms and types. Embrace and look for negative feedback and critics. And also you need to think about what your why, and it really does matter. With that, I want to turn to Andrew and see if you have any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think all of those are really great tips and stuff that both employers and employees can benefit from. Now, speaking from the employer side, when we talk about culture matters and employee engagement, are there any tools or learning modules or websites, apps that you would suggest that employers invest in for their employees to learn new skills or brush up on some of their old ones?
Yeah, so definitely, for example, for the engagement, if you have Office 365, you can complete Office 365 different apps that you can work, like you have surveys, you have polls, you have chat, you have collaboration tools. So those are on all the communication, collaboration, and sharing. So with one platform, you get everything. But if you want to go and think about skills and learning skills, so you have Coursera is one of the online platform that does, and then another one is called Udemy, Udemy. So there's a like they give certificates to learn new things, and I have a lot of our employees do that. So they go and get certified in certain areas. And the other thing everybody wants to be in the future is you got to learn something about technology. You need to understand what the technology, especially with artificial intelligence. What does artificial intelligence mean? Because artificial intelligence is very broad and it's going to be in every product, everything that we use. Today, as we are using Zoom, it has an artificial intelligence back engine, which is a machine learning that's thinking, that's really looking at how we are using Zoom, and that would help them to understand how people use and can give in real time changes for us. So you need to, and everybody needs to understand what technology can really help them. So learn some of the technologies, just understanding the technology. You don't need to be a programmer, but you understand what can AI do, what can robotic process automation can do, what can robots do, what can drones do to your business. So you need to think about them, understand. So there's so many free resources, there's so many actually certification resources that you can go and learn.
That's great. And you know, you stated on the onset that pandemics actually bring out creativity and innovation. Are there any specific maybe groups that you were working with or that you've seen that are utilizing technology to help still have a viable business? I know a lot of restaurants, a couple restaurants by me have decided to launch apps to order because they only had one phone line. When they were doing curbside pickup, their phone lines were getting bogged down. So they decided, well, just order through this app, which was straight through their processing system. So are there any sort of things like that that you want to highlight or
Yeah, I
maybe?
mean, yeah, like for example, hospitality industry right now they just launched. Lysol is partnering with Mayo Clinic to do quick cleans of hospitality industry in rooms and all, right. So even like credit card machines are coming up with new cleaning. Once you put your credit card and come out, it automatically cleans the machine, right? So the new thermal cameras to make sure that you have the right temperature to enter into the building. So we are working with some of our partners with we're building those technologies. And so we are also working with a new group of people for elderly people with sensors, monitors, everything. So that would be a touchless for them. And also their loved ones, their kids, and somebody can monitor them from outside. So there are so many new technologies that are already in progress that we are part of three of them. So there's another company we are working with during this time. They're called Career Co. So they're doing online mentoring, online. So everything is very digital and video based. So they're coming up with a new solution. So we are now working with them, creating the architecture and rolling out. So every industry has something going on right now, and they have to have. Like I said, we are also working on the new app for employers and employees to manage their situation during work and after work to make sure that employers and employees are safe and healthy during their work and also after work.
That's great. I think a lot of companies and even individuals realized that through this, that maybe we were on this hamster wheel of just doing the same thing over and over again because we were
Yeah.
comfortable with it. But through this disruption, we're able to utilize creativity and innovation to move forward. I have
And
one more. I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead. So one thing I want to say, so the whole thing is everything we are coming up with new, there's nothing nobody's inventing anything. All the technologies are available. Now they're bringing it together because they're in need, right? So now they have to think about creatively. So it's more innovation is happening with existing technologies.
Mhm. And so, when you discuss embracing and looking for negative feedback and critics, are there any tools or resources you would encourage employers or people to use to help see that content easily?
Yeah, so you can use Office 365 as a survey, and that survey can also be anonymous. So it doesn't need to state the person name, and also even within your own company, the feedback, some of them we send them to anonymous. So whoever is replying, so we don't even know which employee or who that is. So at least we know. And also you can use tools like SurveyMonkey, right? So you can or any other. MailChimp. So all of them have tools that you want to use, but you need to come up with a strategy of what are the tools you want to use for your company and stick to those tools rather than any other tool. So you have to stick to the same tool so that everybody is familiar with those tools within your company and see how do you want to use those metrics.
And where can people learn more about eBiz solutions, watch your TED talk, learn more about you as well?
Sure. I mean, like, so our eBiz solutions, our website is thinkebiz.net. So once you go there, so we have our YouTube channels, we have our Twitter and Instagram channels. So, and then if you just type in on YouTube my name, you will get the TED Talk that I've done in February, just before the close down.
Well, Shadar, thank you so much for expanding upon these 12 tips today and diving into those last six. If you would like to learn more about the first six tips, you can go to City Current's YouTube page and find the video there. You can also find it on our social media as well. Shadar, the Mid South and the world's tech expert, we appreciate you. And we hope you and your family are staying safe. And we can't wait to be in the same room together again.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.